That plant tag that says native, it's probably lying to you. Native to North America is not the same as native to your yard, and that one gap is why half these plants struggle within a year. Here's how to get it right, region by region. Most native plant labels just mean native somewhere on the continent, not your yard specifically. That's why half of them need constant babying instead of taking care of themselves. 8 regions, the plants actually built for each one and why they outperform anything trucked in from somewhere else. Eastern redbud, small understory tree, one of the earliest bloomers in the region, flowering directly on bare wood before the leaves even open. It tolerates the acidic, clay-heavy soils common across the northeast and mid-Atlantic without amendment. Black-eyed Susan, a true prairie and meadow native that spread naturally into the region's open ground. Blooms from midsummer into fall and is one of the most reliable nectar sources for native bees in the area. Both handle the region's freeze-thaw winters without special protection, which is the single biggest reason imported ornamentals fail here. They weren't built for a hard freeze followed by a January thaw, followed by another freeze. A genuinely regional native stops needing fertilizer after its first full season. If you're still feeding it every year just to keep it alive, it isn't adapted to your soil. It's being life-supported by it. The next region isn't just about flowers, it's about the tree that quietly runs the whole food web. Purple coneflower. Native across much of the southeast and into the prairie states, and one of the most drought-tolerant perennials you can plant once its root system is established, which usually takes about 2 years. Southern magnolia, the signature tree of the region for a reason. Deep taproot, genuine heat and humidity tolerance, and evergreen structure that keeps working in the landscape 12 months a year, not just during bloom season. Research on native woody plants, most notably entomologist Doug Tallamy's work on regional oaks and other keystone trees, has shown that locally native trees support dramatically more caterpillar and insect species than ornamentals from other continents, and that insect base is what feeds the birds in your yard. Add native azalea, rhododendron canescens to the pairing if there's any part shade in the bed. It flowers before the tree canopy fully leaves out and tolerates the region's humidity far better than the imported hybrid azaleas most nurseries push instead. Pair both with the region's naturally humid summers in mind. Good airflow and morning sun do more for disease resistance here than any fungicide will. Drought tolerant doesn't mean drought tolerant from day one. An establishing root system still needs regular water for its first year or two. Skip that step, and the plant never becomes what the tag promised. Next, the region most people get wrong on shade alone, where shady doesn't mean what they think it means. Mountain laurel. A native evergreen shrub found throughout the Appalachian understory, adapted to acidic, well-drained mountain soil, and one of the few native shrubs that blooms heavily in full shade. Virginia bluebells, a spring ephemeral that carpets Appalachian forest floors before the tree canopy fills in, then dies back completely by early summer, which is normal dormancy, not the plant failing. Full shade and dry shade are not the same growing condition. Most failed Appalachian native plantings come down to matching the right plant to the wrong kind of shade. Now the region where drought-tolerant stops being a nice-to-have and becomes the entire design brief. Little bluestem. A true tallgrass prairie native, deep-rooted enough to survive both drought and periodic fire, and it turns a striking copper orange in fall that most ornamental grasses can't match. Butterfly weed, a native milkweed species. It's the only plant family monarch caterpillars can actually eat, which makes it one of the highest impact single additions to any Midwest or prairie region garden. Rattlesnake master fills the gap most people leave empty, an odd spiky-looking prairie native that thrives in the compacted clay soils common across the region and hosts a specialist moth species that depends on it and almost nothing else. If a plant claims to support monarchs but isn't an actual milkweed species, it's only feeding the adult butterflies, not the next generation. Host plant and nectar plant are not the same job. From prairie grass to the exact opposite climate, plants that expect almost no rain at all. Desert marigold, silver grey foliage that reflects heat instead of absorbing it, and a bloom cycle that can restart repeatedly through the growing season with essentially no supplemental water once established. Native agave species such as those naturally occurring across the Sonoran and Chihuahuan deserts. These store water in thick, fleshy leaves and can go months without rain, which is precisely why non-native ornamentals in this region tend to fail. They were never built for that math. Ocotillo rounds out the trio, a spindly, cane-like shrub that looks dead for most of the year and then flushes bright red flowers within days of a single rainfall. That's not stress. That's the plant reading the desert exactly the way it evolved too. In true desert regions, the local native plants aren't just water efficient, they're often the only species that can survive without irrigation at all. Skip the amended, moisture-retentive potting soil most nurseries recommend by default. In this region, fast-draining native soil left alone is doing the plant a favor, not a disservice. If you're amending desert soil to hold more moisture, you're working against the plant, not for it. Fast drainage is the feature here, not a flaw to fix. Now the opposite problem entirely. A region so wet the challenge is drainage, not drought. Sword fern, the dominant understory plant across much of the coastal Pacific Northwest, evolved for deep shade and near constant moisture, and it holds its structure through the wet winters that would rot most ornamental ferns. Salal, a low evergreen shrub found throughout the same coastal forests, tolerant of poor, acidic soil, and one of the most reliable native food sources for regional birds thanks to its dark summer berries. Red-flowering currant blooms early enough to catch the first hummingbirds of spring migration, well before most other regional natives have even leafed out, which makes it one of the highest-value early-season plants in the entire Pacific Northwest. Both species evolved specifically to handle heavy rainfall and low light, which is exactly the combination that kills most non-native shade plants brought in from drier climates. If a shade plant in this region needs staking or constant deadheading to look presentable, that's usually a sign it isn't a regional native. Sword fern and salal do neither. A shade plant that needs staking or constant deadheading to look presentable is telling you it isn't built for this climate. Regional natives hold their own structure through the wet season, without help. From coastal rainforest to high, dry elevation, a completely different set of rules. Rocky Mountain Penstemon, adapted to thin, fast-draining mountain soil and dramatic temperature swings between day and night, with flower spikes that draw hummingbirds through the summer months. Blue flax, a short-lived but self-seeding native that handles both drought and cold exposure and readily naturalizes across high-elevation gardens without becoming invasive. Colorado blue columbine, the state flower of Colorado, fills in the same niche at higher, shadier elevations and draws hawk moths at dusk, the way Penstemon draws hummingbirds by day. At elevation, drainage matters more than fertility. A truly regional native here is chosen for how fast water leaves the soil, not how rich the soil is. Last region, the one with more native plant diversity packed into it than almost anywhere else in the country. California poppy, the state's official flower. Adapted to the region's dry summer, wet winter rhythm, and capable of reseeding itself year after year with zero irrigation once it's established. Manzanita, a native shrub with a striking smooth red bark that partners with soil fungi most non-native shrubs can't connect with, which is part of why it thrives in the region's nutrient-poor soils where imported ornamentals often struggle. California lilac, Ceanothus, rounds out the region, one of the few native shrubs that actually fixes its own nitrogen in the soil, which means it needs less feeding than almost anything else you could plant next to it. This region has one of the most distinct climate patterns in the country, and its native plants are shaped by that pattern specifically, which is exactly why plants pulled from anywhere else so often disappoint here. Both go completely dormant or dry-looking in late summer, which trips people up. That's not the plant dying, that's the plant doing exactly what it evolved to do until the rain comes back. A California native going dry and dormant in late summer isn't dying. It's following the region's dry summer, wet winter rhythm exactly as it evolved to. Watering it through that dormancy is the mistake, not skipping the water. Here's the fastest way to check any of this yourself. No research required. Watch the plant for 10 minutes on a warm afternoon. If it's a genuine regional native, something is landing on it. Bees, moths, butterflies, something. If nothing ever touches it, it's decoration, not habitat, no matter what the tag says. 8 regions, more than 20 plants, and one rule underneath all of it. A plant that's actually built for your specific ground will always outperform one that just happens to share a country with you. Drop your region or your growing zone in the comments, and I'll tell you which of these are the strongest fit for exactly where you garden. If this saved you from planting the wrong thing again this season, subscribe. This is the first video in a full native plant series broken down by region, and the next one goes deeper into each zone. You won't need to guess anymore.